Oh, hey everybody, welcome back to our Young Life video audio podcast. Today I'm super excited because we have what I would consider a legend. She probably wouldn't say that, but I will. Her name is Kathy. I'm going to hand the baton back to you, Kathy. Tell us who you are and why you're on this.
Hi, Troy. So my name is Kathy Pechtel. I am a teacher, a kindergarten teacher. So sorry you guys get to see my classroom today, or the back half of it, the sad half of it. I was a Young Life leader for 7 years in the Tri-Cities. I started off in 2013 when I moved here as a wildlife leader at Horse Heaven Hills, H3 way to be.
Let's go.
And did that for 3 years, and then kind of moved up with a crew of girls to Southridge when they became high schoolers in 13, 14, 15, 2016, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
And they all just graduated this past year. So I am kind of shifting what life looks like. My husband and I are expecting our first child in the spring.
Yeah.
Little baby girl. Is no name picked out, and this girl will be lucky if she ever gets a name. So no name spoilers today because there isn't any to spoil. But yeah, so we're really excited about that. And so I coach volleyball at Kamaikan as well. So yes, teaching in elementary school and coaching at Kamaikan and leading at Southridge. There's a lot of different places that I was visiting during the week. So kind of in a season of trying to figure out what streamlining looks like a little bit.
Absolutely. And I got to say something really fast. If we could like create a Young Life leader, it would be you, right? Because you're amazing, you're awesome, you do it all. And so thank you for those 7 years. That's amazing. So to see the growth in your girls, right? I mean, literally from being, this might sound weird, but just little girls to being, just young adults.
Yeah. I mean, I look at pictures, well, they hate it when I do, but I look at pictures from when they were sixth graders.
Yeah.
They were these teeny tiny, like just out of elementary school girls, like a bunch of the ones who I kind of saw throughout high school. I met when they were eighth graders on my volleyball team at Horse Heaven Hills. And even so, though, I mean, I knew them for 5 years by the time they had graduated, and a lot of them are, I mean, really all of them, and myself included, are entirely different people than we were at that point when we met. So definitely a huge gift to be able to.
I don't think there's anybody that likes their middle school pictures. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I don't think there's anyone who likes middle school. And even if you think you do in the time, a few years out, you're like, oh, that was actually really rough, and I didn't even realize how rough it was. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. Well, now I'm going to ask you the question that we can all relate to right now, and it may be taking place during this year, it may be 10 years ago, but when was a time you faced an obstacle in your life, and how did you rebound from it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, 2020 is like a giant obstacle, so I feel like we could all go with that. But when I read that question the first thing that popped into my mind was just like mine and my husband's journey towards this little baby. It took us over a year to get pregnant, but I had a bunch of health issues in that time, and there was a lot of times where I just was like, I don't think this is going to happen. My body is literally doing everything except for cooperating right now. And almost a year ago, so last November at our winter camp, my body was just doing crazy things. I was really stressed from school. I was really stressed from volleyball, and just cried in the Target parking lot, as I was on my way to the NAS to go meet up with everyone. And so just went into that weekend super just tired of everything, of just everything feeling stressful and just going in a lot of different directions. Fall has always been a crazy time, a super fun time, because I've been involved in volleyball most years since I was a freshman in high school, which was in 2014. So just went into that weekend really just tired, and kind of not with a whole lot of hope about a whole lot of anything. And the only full day that we were there, Saturday, we did some worship in the morning, and I happened to be sitting next to our pal Sarah Cooper, who I had never met before. I had maybe sort of said hi with Michaela the night before, but this lady had no idea who I was. I just turned into the sobbing leader sitting next to her, and just was, I don't know, just stressed and tired, but had a good talk with Jeffrey, and he was kind of encouraging me just to take some time and take a break, but also to go pray with Sarah. And that her prayer that morning truly was the hope that I needed for the next, it took us 8 months still after that point. But just there was so much comfort in what she said that day, and so much just like peace that like I can only do what I can do, and like God knows what the heck he's doing, even though I really don't feel like I can see it right now.
Yeah.
And so just her prayer and like confidence in knowing that like God was going to do what he was going to do gave me like so much peace. And I told her this like right before we announced, and I just said like, thank you so much. Like there were a lot of days where I was really angry, and all I could go back to was like these pictures that you put into my mind that like it was going to be okay. Yeah. So Sarah Cooper, you rock. You know that, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Hey, that's so great. I'll make sure to tag her on this, give her a little shout out. So I heard two things in there. One, or three things actually. One, there's power in prayer, right? Two, there's power in friendship, doing life together. And three, the hardest one, trusting even without the answers, right? Faith. And it's really easy, like when you're in church and you grow, I mean, at least for me, when I grew up in church, you heard the word faith. Oh yeah, I have faith. But then when you go through something like you've been through, that's when it's kind of tested and really you grow from it, right? And that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so excited that we're going to be able to celebrate this little girl here. What's the due date, if you don't mind me asking?
March 31st. Hey, so spring break time.
Oh, that's so great.
I'm just praying it doesn't snow when I have her. That's like the last thing that I want. But in the Tri-Cities, you never know.
Hey, and the way that 2020 went, let's just hope 2021 is a little bit better, right? So
I don't have a whole lot of high hopes for 2021, but we'll see.
Oh, that's so good. Well, hey, so you shared a little bit of your story of Young Life. Tell us a little bit more. I know you led for 7 years. What was a highlight inside those 7 years? What'd you love about it? What do you still love about it? The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I got involved. I would say it took me a number of years from my first experience at Young Life to get actually involved. I went to a single club when I was in high school, like one night. I knew one person, my fellow volleyball co-captain, went, but I didn't tell her I was going. I just showed up. Of course, it was the night she wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
It was awful. I mean, I was much more shy than I am now. I just was not super excited about doing anything out of my comfort zone. I knew absolutely no one there. Yeah. And I just was like, this is not my jam. Never bothered to tell Amber that I went, just like didn't go again. And I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I mean, I had gone to a bunch of events with friends over the years and like didn't have a problem being around it, enjoyed the things I went to, but like didn't really think of it as like something for me.
Yeah.
And then I went to Whitworth, which is like mega Young Life school.
Yeah, yeah.
My roommate freshman year was doing the leadership class there with Kent McDonald and was leading wildlife. And I had another roommate our junior year who led. And so it just kind of was around me. I checked out doing Capernaum a little bit because I became a Christian my freshman year. So kind of looked at it, but just was doing so many other things that it just wasn't going to fit or be a good use of my time at that point because there wasn't really a whole lot of extra time going around.
Yeah.
So kind of had known it. And then I graduated in 2012 and moved abroad for a year, went and lived in Ghana in West Africa.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. And so my best friend from college had started leading. She teaches in a small town in Western Washington and had started leading it, and it had been really great for her. And so it was really fun for me to watch her do it. And when I moved back, I had been teaching for probably a month here. I had met a few people, one guy who was leading, Luke Hallowell, who I don't remember if he was at Tijuana or Pasco at that point, but was leading in Pasco, and then another friend who was leading in Richland at the time. Okay. And I had just gotten to this point where I realized like I could easily be in my classroom by myself until 7:30 at night every day if I wanted to be. But, like that's not healthy. And that's like, I mean, yes, I'm serving people, but I was teaching in a special ed autism room. It was just a lot. And so I needed something else. And so I reached out to Luke and had just said like, hey, I'm interested in, I don't know who is in charge of Young Life. It was Steve at the time, but I don't know who to talk to. I don't know what to do, but I just feel like I need to do something else that's not within these four walls of my classroom. Not this one, but and so he got me connected with Steve, and I had intended on doing high school. That was kind of the picture I had in my head. And at our first meeting, he was like, our biggest need right now is actually middle school. And like my knee-jerk reaction was like, heck no. No, I want high school. I already have it hard. Like my room during the day is hard. I can't do middle schoolers on top of that.
Yeah.
But then when I went home and started thinking about it, like most of the kids that I had worked with and had good relationships with in Ghana were middle school aged. I had done a special ed internship in the college at a middle school that I kind of went in with the same like, oh, what am I getting myself into? And then ended up loving it. And so I was like, you know what, like looking back, like I don't really have a lot of experience with high school kids. Like I have experience with middle school kids. And so jumped in, and we didn't really have a team. We kind of, well, the Larsons had been doing it the year before, and they were kind of like our support staff, but and they would come to a few things, but they weren't like really leading at that point. They were more of like our hosts and helpers. Got Jenny Fox on board with me kind of by Steve's prompting. And jumped in with it. And I mean, looking back, I'm like, I don't know that I would do that again. Like, I think the 23-year-old me was like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and just wanted to do something and help get outside of myself a little bit. And so, I mean, the first time I took kids to camp, we didn't have any Horse Heaven Hills girls that first year because they would have all gone to breakaway, and they were we'll wait for later. But Richland kids, and met them on the bus right there, and
that's awesome.
Didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I mean, I look back at 2 Malibu trips and 4 Washington Family Ranch trips and lots of winter camps and everything in between. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But
that's amazing.
I think if I have to go like total highlight, I think that as much as I love Malibu and it's beautiful and it's marvelous and it just like I got to see so much beauty happen there. Our trip 3 summers ago now to Washington Family Ranch was the one where like I can truly pick out girls who were different at the end of the week than they were at the beginning, like in such clear-cut, beautiful ways.
That's amazing.
So I don't think I can ever top that one. It was Michaela and I worked really, really hard to fundraise. We got some girls there who we were really excited about. And then 2 of the girls who really just had impactful weeks were second timers and had kind of been exposed to it the first time. And then this time they were really ready for it.
That's good.
And I mean, I can tell you one right now whose life has changed to this day. And it just is really cool to see that like such clear impact there.
Yeah, that's amazing, Kathy. I love that. I love how you just ended with the idea of it took a second trip to a camp, which sometimes Young Life pushes back on, right? But it took that group of girls and that got them to the next step, which is huge. So that just shows value in that. And then I'm also hearing I might need to do like a mini series with you because you might just have that many stories talking about going to Malibu twice, WFR 4 times. Is that what I heard?
If you include Creekside, I might. So assignment counts as like a bazillion times as going there. We were there for 4 weeks.
We might need to do like a mini series on you because you have all the stories. So this could be like our Netflix version of this podcast. So
there you go.
That is amazing, Kathy. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I mean, it's probably hard for you to pick out one thing, right?
There are a lot.
So in the same sense, obviously you jumped on when you were 23. And you kind of just want a place to serve, and it happened that you found a friend, and it was Young Life, and off you went, right? Why should more adults in this community or any community, wherever you're listening from, choose to serve with Young Life, whether you're 23, 33, or 43?
I know. I mean, my husband has asked me multiple times, like, will you go back to Young Life? And I could see myself at some point. I could definitely see myself in Capernaum, like for sure, because that's where my original heart is. I have a brother with special needs, and so went into special ed originally and have since shifted. But I think that 23-year-old me really was just like craving something outside of myself. Like I could easily have just like done school and gone home and kind of called it good. But after my time in Ghana, where like all I was doing was serving all the time, like, and that was kind of what my heart had molded into. I just coming back and just doing my own thing, like just didn't feel fulfilling at all. Even though I know that like the work I do in my classroom is good, it just is different. And so, I mean, I think that there's a place for everyone. Like some of my favorite leaders were our high school student leaders who were in there helping with our wildlife kids those first few years, who are married now and having babies. And I mean, it's crazy to like watch some of those older ones grow. But then like the Larsons stepping alongside us, like we couldn't have started without them. And they had high school age kids and middle school age kids who were connections for us and parent connections. And like, but then I also watch like the Franks over at Capernaum who have those elementary school age kids who just come and show up and love on them. And just kind of, they make it a family affair. So I think that there are a million different ways to be a good leader. And I am probably an entirely different leader now than I was the first year, and probably sometimes in better ways and sometimes in not worse ways, but less energetic ways.
There you go.
And like my life looks different. I mean, totally. My girls were with me when I started dating my husband and when we were engaged and when we got married. And so the time that I have spent with them has looked different, but there has still been effective relationships in all those seasons. So I think that there's definitely a spot for everyone, even when it might feel like, well, I'm now a 30-year-old woman, like stepping into a new school would be really hard.
Oh yeah.
But there still is so much good to be had in those relationships.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It's so great. So you coach volleyball and you're around high schoolers still. And so what would you say to a high schooler that has never been to Young Life, and what would your pitch be? Why should kids in the Tri-Cities or any city say yes to Young Life?
I always joke with my girls that in 7 years, I never came up with a pitch. I just threw it off to them. Like, I'm not going to tell you why you should go, but my friend Caitlin over here will tell you. My pal Grace over here will tell you why you should go.
Yeah.
Part of it is because you can only explain it to like a certain extent. Like part of it is you just have to be there to kind of see it. But I just see, I mean, increasingly more and more, like these kids are just looking for a place where they belong and where no matter what they tell you, they're going to know that they're okay. And I think it's really easy for kids to be turned off by church and to be turned off by politics. And there's just so much that feels divisive in this world right now. And I think in Young Life, we get this like beautiful gift to just like be a nonpartisan, like, yes, we love Jesus and like, yes, we want him for these kids, but also like we get to love the kid who comes to us and tells us that they're gay. And we get to love the kid who says like, hey, like I want to come to club, but like I was drinking this weekend and like I feel like that. I mean, there's a spot for those kids too, and sometimes they don't feel like it, and sometimes those kids come and we don't even realize that that's what they're going through. And so I just think that the beauty of my time in Young Life was the relationships, but I also now knowing that like so many of my girls are off to school, it looks different. Like my prayer is that like I can't follow them, but Jesus can.
Yeah.
And so just hoping that like, yes, those relationships were the start, but like also I'm not going to be, I'm not in their little pocket when they're on the UW campus, and I'm not in their dorm room at U of I, like, but Jesus can be with them. And so I just hope that the relationship and like the safe place for them is what starts it. And then they get a chance to go further from there and kind of make it their own.
Oh man, that's so good. I love that. You said something, I can't follow them, but Jesus can. That's so powerful. And I also love your heart because I can relate to it, right? My favorite thing is the fact that we just show up for kids. And no matter what they come to us with or what lifestyle they choose, that in that season or beyond, they know they can always come back to us, right? That's the big win. I love that. I know that you've experienced that with your own girls, and that's so powerful. That they know that they can always call you. They have your number. When they come home for holidays, they can stop by and see your little precious new girl, and they'll always have you in their life. So that's awesome. So now is the time for you to speak wisdom to our audience. It's the last question of the interview. I ask it to everybody. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew 5-10 years ago?
Gosh, there are a lot of things. My husband and I were kind of having this conversation the other day about like my ability to call people on the phone. Like as a child, I hated it. Like I did not want to talk to humans, especially did not want to talk to strangers. Like telling me to like go call the pizza person would have been like the end of the world. And I was telling him like I called to make an order for food the other day and was telling him like if like 23-year-old Kathy had met Kathy now, I would have like laughed and been like kind of excited that that's where I was going, but like also not really believed it. Like if I met 15-year-old Kathy now, like I would have just told you that you were lying. Like, no, she's not going to be a teacher. That's like my worst nightmare, standing in front of people and having to talk to them. Like, she is not going to get up on stage and do some sort of weird skit thing. Like, she's not going to have secret dreams of being on program, even though she never actually will be on program because she actually thinks it would be terrible and she can't dance at all.
Oh boy.
I mean, I just have seen so much growth in myself, but a lot of that was just in like letting go of the expectations of so many people around me, but also just like finding confidence in the fact that like I have a purpose and my purpose is good, and that purpose looks different in relationship to every person on the planet.
Yeah.
And it looks different in my house than it does at school, than it does in Young Life. But I think when we give ourselves permission to just be who we are and to be okay with that and to own it, like some people aren't going to like it, and there's going to be some days where it's really hard and some days where it's really lonely. But like, I don't know, I think that like Adam would always joke when I came home from a Young Life event, like, oh, I can tell you were at Young Life because you're really hyped up right now. And I'm like, it's true, but like, that's a place where like I get to just be excited and I get to be with kids. And I was thinking yesterday, like this year has, I mean, obviously been weird for so many people, but in transitioning out and not getting to see these girls every day, like I got to be a lot of people's person last year. Like I got to be a point person for a lot of them, or even just like maybe not the person, but a person for them. And not losing that per se, but having it shift and look really different has been harder than I realized it would be. But I don't know. I think if I could go back and tell younger Kathy, like, it's going to be okay and you're going to be okay. And like, you are good. And that's all that you need. So.
Yeah, I love it. That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's my favorite question to ask, because I just, life experience is so good, right? We learn so much about ourselves and from other people. So, man, Kathy, I just got to say thank you for what you're doing currently as a teacher in this community with all that's going on. Kindergarten, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kindergarten. So you got kinder. So we are praying for you. Like when we say that, we mean that. And we will continue to pray for you. We are also praying for a healthy mom, healthy baby. As you go on this adventure of being pregnant, and for Adam and your guys' marriage and your home. But I just want to say on behalf of Young Life, thank you for what you continue to do and have done for those 7 years. And like I said, I know you're not doing direct leadership right now. The ripple effect of your leadership is carrying on through Michaela, carrying on through all those girls who now are in college or doing life. Through the friendships. And so your legacy is still going. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for keeping it going.
Yeah. So, hey, I will see you soon, hopefully. And like I said, we're praying for you, and you take care, and good luck with the kindergartners.
Thank you. I need all the luck I can get.
All right. I'll see you later.
Okay, bye, Troy.